fucking care. Can we move on to a new segment, please?
Yeah!
Welcome to Just Two Fans, a sports show about sports,
Obviously.
about life,
Because sports are life.
and about just whatever the hell we feel like talking about. So, let's go.
What is up, everybody?
What is good, y'all?
I'm Jay Freelander. That's Eli Johnson.
That's me.
And the man behind the glass, again, is Cameron Hunting. Say hi, Cameron.
Hi, Cameron.
Every time. It's good every time.
So good.
Good every time, my guy. Let me tell you guys. I'm getting old, gents.
We're all getting old.
I'm getting it's annoying. I hate it. I want it to stop. I hurt my back like 2 weeks ago hammering a nail into some cement. And it still hurts.
There's like a tool for that. That's not just a hammer.
Well, so we had the tool for that. However, when we tried to use it, it blew up the cement. So luckily we were both looking away when it happened. It literally exploded the cement that we were trying to get into. It just wasn't. There wasn't enough depth that we were trying to go for, but yeah. So then I was like, oh, I'll just hammer it in there because like we've done that before. And I was like bent over swinging, and I was like, that didn't feel good. Turns out threw up my back, but I was getting better. And then like all of a sudden today, I don't know what I did, but I was like getting out of bed, and I like got and I was just like, like
I've come to understand that like being in your 30s is just realizing that getting out of bed is actually the hardest part of the day.
it's the worst part of the day, man, for sure.
Dude, this year I really think
more
I
getting out of bed than I did playing football.
this year I have found an actual appreciation for lumbar support.
Oh yeah.
Like never before was it an issue. This year I'm like, what's the lumbar support in that? You know, I started adjusting a lumbar support in my car. Like I'm sitting up better in my office chair. Like I have pillows around.
Heaters on year round to relax the muscles in my back.
I need to put a heater on my feet in the summer.
I can't do that. I can't do the seat heaters. I don't even use those things.
I had to.
Winter,
Dude.
man.
Dude, the ride home with the
it.
seat
My back
heaters
hurts.
is therapeutic, right? I listen to my
Yeah, see,
tunes.
It's like
I still have to have the seat coolers. I will get in my car in the middle of winter and turn on my seat coolers.
I don't
fucking
have
hate
seat
having
coolers, Jamie.
Well,
I'm a poor.
it was it was pretty much a prerequisite after I had. It's one of those things. Once you have it, you can't not have it.
Yeah, no, I remember your Raptor, man.
My
That
truck,
thing,
yeah.
dude.
That thing had like fucking industrial fans in those
Yeah, it
seats.
did. Hell, yeah, it did. Your wife hated it because she said it blew the farts all around.
Oh, all over the place.
Completely valid.
Like, out straight back out into the atmosphere.
Yep, but you know what? I was comfy, and that's what matters.
It was great. It was great. Should we talk about sports instead of blowing farts all over trucks?
I don't know, man. What does the audience want today? You know, that's the question. That's the real question here.
I think they want sports.
What route are we taking today? You know?
Yeah. How many left turns are we taking? Well, speaking of turns, let's talk about Formula One.
Viva Las Vegas!
Cameron, the production value of this show is off the charts compared to what it used to be.
Yeah, man. It's almost like we have somebody who can just do that instead of me trying to like talk like.
I love it. The Vegas Grand Prix happened last weekend. Got off to a rocky start, to say the least.
One might say a bumpy start. There was a lot of friction.
You know, FP1 started on Thursday night without a hitch for about 10 minutes.
It wasn't that long. I don't even think it was.
You got 9 laps in.
9 laps. So, yeah, it was like 10, 15 minutes of actual run time. And then Carlos Sainz drove over a I don't know if it's a drainage valve or just a water valve,
Yeah,
but
water valve.
he pulled it up out of the ground because those cars have so much downforce, and they literally broke the seal around the damn thing, and that canceled FP1, and it also delayed FP2, which meant that anybody that bought a ticket on Thursday for the practice sessions got to see all of 15 minutes of action.
You know what the fucked up part about that is? They issued no refunds. Nothing.
There's a history of them doing this because something similar happened. Cameron, you're gonna have to help me out. I think it was like 2021 or no, it wasn't 2021. It was like 2019 maybe in Hungary or something. I was reading about it, and they had a similar incident where they had to cancel both practice sessions or delay them, and everybody got kicked out after seeing like 20 minutes of driving, and they didn't refund them.
Yeah, and it's what sucks is because originally, like when FP1 was canceled, they told everyone that their tickets were still good. Everything was going to stay open as far as fan zones and all that. So everyone was just like chilling till the end of the allotted time for FP1. But then you actually have to leave. You can't stay there through both sessions. Like they close everything down, restock, clean, and then they come back for FP2. And so... yeah, like a lot of people were waiting in line for free practice too, and they found out that they couldn't go back in.
And it's one of these things like, yeah, I'm sure when you buy the ticket, there's the disclaimer that this doesn't guarantee that you're actually going to see any race action and there are no refunds, blah, 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 blah. It's just kind of about doing the right thing.
Yeah.
At that point.
Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks. I think I saw a class action lawsuit, and I wonder if people understand that the FIA is based in Europe. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's no way
shot.
that that's going to work. No
Like,
chance.
they're going to sue the city? Like, no, thank you.
Yeah. So that sucked. However, the weekend did turn around because quali was very entertaining, and the race was probably the best race of the season thus far.
Yeah, it was actually like a really fun race to watch. Especially
Tons
like
of
right
overtaking. Yeah, there was tons of overtaking. There were several lead changes. The race was never like, it's not like Max won by 30 seconds and that he locked it up after lap 20, right? This was a race that was very much in doubt for a lot of it. There was action. Max was being his normal Max self and just driving people off the road for no fucking reason. You know, Charles Leclerc pulled off one of the most exciting moves I've ever seen at the end of this race. And I know that I'm a total noob to Formula One, but what he did, what was that, turn 14 to Checo, was insane.
Yeah, he did some real driver shit. And
real driver shit.
It's something that he was, not only that he made that move, but for the 4 laps before, like after he lost it during that lockup and he ended up like 1.8 seconds behind going into the last 2 or 3 laps, that he's able to reel Checo in. And
insane racing.
Like he's just a stupid good driver. And that's all it is. And I think one thing that surprised most people was because of the fast section on the strip, like everyone thought Max was just going to go away, or like how fast they'd be able to go. But those corners took away any of that speed that you could get. And with it being this late in the season, everyone's got upgrades. So it's not the Red Bull from week 3. It's every car in the second to last race. Yeah, and it's amazing to see how far. Because if this was an early June, late May race,
it would have been trash.
I think it would have been absolutely different. So, and then with...
Well, I think that's what we were expecting, right?
Yeah.
Because we were all saying this is going to be a garbage race because it was going to be Max Verstappen ahead by a minute and a half.
Mm-hmm.
And then everyone else, and it really turned out to be a fun race with a lot of good strategy too. I mean, there were some teams that did like a 2-stop. A couple teams, most teams just did a 1. You know,
2 red flags that they had to deal with.
Yeah, like
not red flags, safety cars. Sorry.
Yeah, 2 safety cars. It was just like a fun race. It was an interesting race. There was a lot to it, and I was shocked genuinely shocked at how good the race was.
And the thing that's telling most to me is the drivers loved it. Like,
Yeah.
if you hear Lewis, who had arguably one of his worst like he did not have a good weekend, he fucking loved that track. He enjoyed racing. He enjoyed the circuit, all the overtaking zones, and how exciting the DRS made it. Man, just even Max turned around after the race. Because Max went into the weekend, he was like, "All pomp and circumstance sucks. We're just show ponies. Like, this is terrible." And then after the race, he was like, "Yeah, that was actually a lot of fun."
Yeah. I mean, I'm not surprised that he turned around. He won it. It's like that thing where you're like,
But it was also like he had to try.
yeah,
Like, he's not, and he's a competitor, man. He doesn't. I know he likes winning, but he likes overtaking and having to come back. Like, he was in 5th with like 15 laps to go, and so it was a challenge for him. He likes that.
I don't know, man. He's driven in such clean air this year. It's almost like, did he forget maybe how to race?
He definitely didn't forget.
He definitely didn't forget how to race. But
I think if you get pole, like once you get pole for your 5th time in a season, after that, every pole position you can decide where you start on the grid.
Yeah,
that would be kind of a cool move.
That would be pretty fun.
Like, because I mean, when Max started like 14th, he still
10th.
won.
Yeah,
like
no, I think it's after your 5th pole or something.
Yeah,
10th is the highest you can start.
Yeah, you can get into Q3.
Kind of dope.
Yeah, after you get pole, no Q3. You can't even run.
Yeah.
Well, and some of the drivers have tossed around kind of the reverse starting order for sprints.
I am so
which would be fun.
That.
And the field's pretty split on that actually happening, but I think that'd be a way to make it a little more fun.
Bottom drivers and top drivers, because
no,
that would make sense if all the ones on the bottom.
I know Carlos Sainz was saying it would make it really exciting and fun.
Yeah, I think the one issue and the kind of the issue that they've always had with sprints is it is a great way to spend an extra $1.5 million because someone tries to push something and it's not during the race
and bust their car
and you blow up and you ruin a car. So I get it, but yeah, I mean, Vegas turned out a lot better than anyone thought it would. No one was saying this race is going to be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for it next year, and it's going to move up in the season a little bit, right? It's going to be in September.
Yeah, I think it's right, one of the first couple races after summer break.
Yeah, I mean, I think they're going to get a lot of the circuit stuff figured out, but the circuit itself was it shocked me how fun that race was. It was shocking. But that race far exceeded, I can't think of another one this season that was that good.
Yeah, I don't know.
No, I don't think so, man.
And sometimes those true street circuits that are brand new, and when it's cold,
great.
That's kind of how.
I thought
it was crazy at the beginning to seeing them fishtail everywhere because their tires weren't warm yet.
But it's also kind of cool. Like it's like, I guess if I'm comparing this to other more mainstream sports, Eli, it's like watching the U.S. Open in golf.
Mm-hmm.
It's like watching these guys struggle and get pissed off at how bad the conditions are and how hard it is almost more fun.
Shoot it into my veins, dude. Making them human is like my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah. Or watching like us, those of us that golf, like we understand how hard it is, and then watching them still do what they do, and it is like holy shit.
Watching Phil Mickelson fucking 8-putt, shoot it in my veins, dude. Oh my God, it makes me feel so good about myself. You know? One of us.
The only thing is, on those courses, I'd ride a snowman off the tee box and hop my ass back in the cart for a bevy.
I just would never find my tee ball ever.
Here's what we do, boys. If we ever go play one of those courses, we're not going to keep score. We're just going to go out and have a fucking ball. That's the only thing that matters. I don't care if I shot a 15 on a hole. I fucking played Pebble Beach, and great.
I was 12 and I did play a course that was getting ready for the US Open. It was like 5 months before it. So it wasn't anywhere near tournament ready. It was Whistling Straits in Wisconsin.
Yeah.
I was 12, so I shot like 120. But I mean, I got in one of those pop bunkers, and it's like triple my height.
Oh,
I had to throw the ball out. Like
Well,
there's
Well, Jamie, we played at Walnut when they were getting ready for the regional qualifier for the U.S. Open.
Rough was this big.
Yeah. The greens were like
running at a
glass,
13.
and that course is never like that. And they were they had a backhoe out there digging out the bunkers. I was like, what the? Come on.
We played. My dad and I played Bandit a few years back, and those bunkers are fucking nasty, dude.
Anything that has a pop bunker, like I don't know how the Europeans fucking do that.
My dad was exhausted after one round because he was just on
dude.
the beach the whole day, dude. He just like could not get out. He was so exhausted.
With Cameron's ball being a magnet to any bunker on the course, you would also be.
I always bring
exhausted.
sunscreen, baby. I'm going to the beach.
Going to the beach, get the tan on, baby. I'm usually pretty good about avoiding sand. I don't know, it's usually. Sometimes it's a day, but
this is how this podcast goes. This was supposed to be like a small little like segue into why watching a hard circuit or watching hard conditions on a circuit is a thing, and it turned into us just talking about golf for 10
hey, that's showbiz, baby.
Well, you guys remember that round at Ute Creek where I found every bunker?
You literally found every bunker on the course.
I was just army
bunker to bunker to
golf
bunker.
across. Good stuff.
Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe this was you, Cameron. Didn't we play like this small muni course somewhere? It could be Colorado, could have been Eugene, not sure. That had one bunker on the entire course.
It was
Sunset.
And Cameron found that and then couldn't get out of it for 3 strokes. So Cameron was in the bunker, the one bunker on the entire course was in it for 3 shots.
Dude, that had my number. Now bunkers and me, we're tight. Like I spent enough time in them that.
Oh yeah, dude.
I'll get out now.
Oh hell yeah, you will. I might be 40 feet. I might be 40 yards past the green, but I am out the bunker, baby.
All right, let's rein it back to that. Last race of the season is this weekend, the Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. Man, they got to get everything across that ocean real fast.
Mm-hmm.
Abu Dhabi Grand Prix is this weekend. Is anybody but Max going to win?
No.
I agree. And this race is going to be way worse than what we just saw in Vegas. Unfortunately, that's my guess.
I haven't checked in a while. Is there anything? I haven't looked at the standings, like at all. Anything close right now?
Nope, it's all sealed up for Red Bull. 1, 2 in the drivers and
I'm
constructors.
talking about like any other race. So like 4 and 5, obviously Sainz and Alonso are tied right now, so that could be interesting.
Oh yeah.
4 through 7's really up in the air.
Yeah, and then constructors. Well, Mercedes, Ferrari, they have got a little battle going. That could be kind of fun to watch. Just something a little extra, so we don't get too bored watching Max win.
Yeah, the Mercedes Ferrari thing, and then the 4th through 7th in the drivers.
Yeah, guys,
some good stuff.
We got some stuff. We got some storylines.
Just saying, Williams could finish up 7th in the standings. That'd be big for him. It'd been a minute.
Yeah, that'd be sick, man. Good for them.
It would be big for them.
It'd be really big. Andretti Racing. That would be really big.
Did you see what Lawrence Stroll said?
No.
He's still not voting for it, even though they have Cadillac and everything.
Of course he's not, dude.
And
weird. A billionaire doesn't want to share profits? Oh, I would have never guessed.
Yeah, exactly.
And Andretti pretty much said, fuck what you guys say. I'm making my own car anyways. We'll be ready.
They'll be in. It'll be good.
Is the force majeure of Mario Andretti is getting fucking in F1.
Like,
dude,
no, I already have the car. I have the power unit sponsor. I already have the contract for Renault for the engines.
Here's the thing, man. With Cadillac, like being a manufacturer, now they could also like hold people hostage a little bit. Like, okay, well, if you don't let Andretti in, bye Cadillac again.
The
You
only
guys
thing
have to go
is,
through a whole nother
their
engine.
timeline is after Andretti joins. GM is not going to provide power units until 2028.
28, yeah.
The first opportunity would be 2026 for Andretti.
Well, I'd say eventually.
But yeah,
Right? Yeah.
yeah.
If the owners and all those fucks are like, oh, we don't want to let Andretti in because we blah, 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 whatever their reasoning is, Cadillac can like go and swoop in 2028 and be like, yeah, you guys can have our engines and they're gonna be really fucking good, and then just sweep the rug, baby. just be like, oh, now you're gonna let Andretti in, otherwise you don't get our great engines. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
Yeah, you can either have the weird Ford engines, Honda, or the engines that Alpine uses. So choose wisely.
Yeah. Do you guys see they're making a Karate Kid remake and it's gonna have Jackie Chan and Ralph Macchio in it?
Didn't they already do this?
No, they did a remake with Will Smith's son. I can't think of his name right now.
Jaden
Smith, and Jackie Chan as Mr. Miyagi, and then Ralph Macchio was like the original Karate Kid. So I don't know.
It's Cobra Kai, the show on Netflix. That's what I was.
That's my karate noises. Podcast
The
users, I'm
segues
flexing while I
today
do this.
are something else. All right, let's get into football
Yes.
real quick before we get to college football.
Okay.
I just want a quick shout out to the Broncos for not totally sucking.
Second in the West, baby.
4 straight wins against legit teams.
Yeah,
The
good
Chiefs,
teams.
Bills, and Vikings.
Starting to see the Sean Payton
stuff.
effect.
Yeah,
You're starting
time.
to see the buy-in. The defense is starting to improve again. Starting to see the offense move the ball a little more. I like what the team's heading.
Yeah, I mean, so what Sean Payton did after that horrendous Dolphins loss, giving up 70 points, is he got rid of some of those vets on defense, and I'm forgetting exactly who they were. Doesn't matter right now, but you're starting to see his handprints all over this team.
Yep.
And he's doing his thing.
And I feel very vindicated in defending Russ for the last 2 years.
Same.
And just being like, he doesn't suck, or last year, I guess. He doesn't suck. He's getting fucked like that.
Yeah, I mean, right now he's completing 69% of his passes. He has 19 touchdowns and 4 picks, which is the exact opposite of what that stat line looked like last year. He's a passer rating of 104.3.
Yeah.
He's back to being what he was in Seattle.
Yeah, if you remember, there was a whole meme that was like, he has more bathrooms than touchdowns into like week 12 or something like that, and here we are. He's got fucking 19 touchdowns this year. It's amazing what a good coach can do.
Yeah,
took a little longer than some people expected, but we're there. We're getting there.
It took longer than it should have, but if he had a halfway competent coach last year, he could have done it.
Yeah.
You just have to realize what Russell Wilson is, and you can't try to make him something else.
Exactly.
Which is exactly what a lot of coaches try to do with these quarterbacks, especially these smaller, off schedule type guys. If you try to just fit them into a pro system, it's going to fail every fucking time.
Yeah.
Every time. So, props to Sean Payton for turning this team around the way he has. I don't know how it's going to finish, right? Like, I'm not going to sit here and say the Broncos are going to make the playoffs, but their upcoming games are at home against the Browns. That's winnable. At the Texans, that's winnable. You got 2 games against the Chargers, home and road. You can split that. Historically, they've almost always split that series, no matter how good or bad both teams are. At the Lions is probably a loss with the way the Lions are playing, but then you have home against the Patriots and at the Raiders. Like, that's 4 or 5 wins, which gets you to 9 or 10 wins on the season, which puts you right in the playoff hunt, which is insanity for where we were 4 weeks ago.
Yeah, for real.
So just wanted a quick shout out to our Broncos before we start talking about the best sport on the planet Earth. And this year, my goodness, dude, the script could not have been written any better for these last couple weeks of college football.
Hold on to your butts.
Bro, it's going to be so sick.
I cannot fucking wait for this weekend and next weekend of football.
I am so excited and I'm so stressed.
So stressed out. It's insane. My cousin's sitting right over there, and he has witnessed me for quite a few Thanksgiving Oregon State Civil War games. And
they're no fun.
It's going to be another one of those.
Yeah, right.
But we'll get to that in a minute. Let's get into some reactions to last week's games. Let's start with the Pac-12. Let's get this one out of the way first. Colorado, Washington State. This game was bad from the jump for Colorado.
Yep.
Shedeur is a shell of himself right now. He is probably injured in 1,000 places.
Yeah, dude. Like you can only hit a block of wood so many times before it starts to splinter. Like,
yeah.
I mean, that guy, I'll give it to him, man. He's a tough kid. If that were me, I would have fucking quit. I would be like, no, you've hit me 58 times in 11 games. I'm out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sitting because this is bullshit, man. Like, the fact that he stood in and he never said anything bad about his offensive line, I would have been shredding them, dude. I'd have been like, these guys fucking suck, dude. Like,
some of it is his fault, and you've said it multiple times. He holds on to the ball too long. He absolutely does. So I can't fully blame his Swiss cheese offensive line.
You can mostly do that.
I can mostly because they are bad.
When I say like I can mostly blame his offensive line, everyone knows who watches the show knows I'm a big offensive line guy. And so when they play like shit, I fucking hate it. And
they were shit.
Like I look at this and I was watching, like I said, I rewatched the Stanford game and I was watching this game as well. And teams, and this is where I give Shedeur a lot of credit too, because teams barely needed to rush 4 to get to the quarterback, right? A lot of times they would rush 3 or 4 and every single offensive lineman would lose his battle, right? And then they were kind of lost, so they'd get a free rusher on 4. That leaves a lot of guys in the backfield to cover receivers. And that means they're not open a lot, and that's why Shedeur holds onto the ball, right? A lot of times you should have just thrown that away. I understand with stats, like that's kind of shitty to be like, I have a 45% completion percentage because nobody can get open. But yeah, I was just watching those games, just like if you're a defense, you don't have to do shit.
No, you don't.
You drop 8 into coverage. And
there's no doubt about it. And it's pretty amazing that they were able to score the way they were at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
So
I think a lot of that had to do with like people not really understanding what's coming, right? Not understanding the blueprint wasn't there yet for sure. And then Oregon found the blueprint and everybody took it.
I think Colorado State found the blueprint because they were really the first ones to like put a chink in that armor, if you will.
Yeah.
The thing about this team, like we knew that was going to be a problem going in, right? We both said in our preview the front 7 on defense are going to be a problem, and the offensive line is going to be a problem. I didn't think they'd be that terrible, right? I didn't think it was going to be as atrocious as it was. They were going to be
pretty bad.
But I don't think you thought they were going to be as bad as they were. You definitely were more on it than I was.
I think I remember my final was like Shadeur's not going to be able to show off what he can be because the offensive line.
Yeah, I mean you were all over it, and I wasn't far off. I think I had my head in the sky. I was like, they're going to win more of these close games than they lost. And to be fair to myself, like we're looking at this Colorado team, it's going to end up 4-8 because they're going to lose at Utah this week. But if you look at their results, they lost 5 games by 1 score or less. So it's not like this, like and you need to there needs to be a little bit of perspective when it comes to this Colorado team, right? Like, I get that the first 3 games and the way the season started kind of changed it moved the goalposts for what this season could be for Colorado. This was not arguably, statistically, the worst roster in college football in the last 20 years in the FBS. I don't remember what metric showed that, but there's literally statistical measures out there that show Colorado had the worst FBS roster in the last 20 years last year. The fact that they were even able to win 4 games is pretty incredible.
Yeah, I mean,
in the big picture of things.
I think a lot of the issue with Colorado this year is those first 3 games, right? Like, because going into the season, everybody's like, the Prime effect. He's got all these crazy players. They're going to be so good. If they would have lost that first game against
totally
TCU,
changes the outcome.
It changes the way the season is viewed.
Yeah, that's what
right. Because I think right now a lot of people view this season as a utter failure, right? Winning 4 games, 1 in conference. But like, I think if you look at it from the lens of, if there wasn't the media hype that put Prime on the pedestal and Shadur on a pedestal and put this team on a full pedestal, I think we're looking at this through a different lens in perspective. I think we're looking at this as like, this is a success. I think it is. I think largely this is a success, right? Like, this is clearly better than last year. They've got something going on. They've still got, they're still like trendy and cool, right? Like, so yeah, I just think it's a matter of I think those first 3 games really hurt Colorado.
Oh yeah, for sure. In the end of it, yes, it did. If you look at this, there's coaching mistakes that led to a couple of these losses. A couple, like the Stanford loss, you just can't do that. I mean, yeah, you can't. But
I mean, Prime has a lot to learn. Prime has a lot to learn,
and he knows it.
Yeah, I'm sure he does.
But here's the perspective I want to provide when it comes to Colorado and Colorado fans. I think most true Colorado fans get it. Like, yeah, it was exciting and cool. Everybody going into the season was like 4 or 5 wins would be great. A bowl game would be incredible. But nobody's like, this is a 10-win team going to the Natty. Like, nobody's
not on the forums, because that's exactly how they were on forums.
But the real true fans, those are Prime fans. From what I've gathered, like the fans that I followed, the Colorado fans that I followed before Prime, all of them were realistic about what this was going to be.
So would you consider a Cavassier Smoke player he's a Prime fan?
Well, he's a
Sorry, I had to.
We'll get to that in a minute. Here's the perspective I want to provide when it comes to Prime. There were 7 Power 5 teams that fired their head coach last year. I'm leaving Northwestern out of this because they were extenuating circumstances, but he has done probably the best job of any new head coach. So I'm just going to leave that out for this for a second. But of the Power 5 teams that fired their head coach last year, Stanford went from 3-9 to 3-8 so far. Arizona State went from 3-9 to 3-8 so far. Wisconsin went from 6-6 to 6-5 so far. Auburn went from 5-7 to 6-5. Georgia Tech went from 5-7 to 6-5. Nebraska went from 4-8 to 5-6. Colorado has improved by 3 games over their win total from last year. Yeah. So by all real win-loss measurements, Deion's done the best job of any of these guys. So, yes,
I think,
was the hype train real? Yes. Was Deion pushing that hype train? Yes, and he should, because that's his job as a head coach. Did it move the goalposts too far? Yeah, it absolutely moved the goalposts too far.
I think next year is going to be the real litmus test on what Deion Sanders can do. This year, obviously, you saw an unprecedented roster flip, right? Next year, he's got a full recruiting cycle. What does he do with it? Right? He's got a full off season. What does he do with it? What does Colorado look like next year is the true test for what Prime is or isn't.
Yeah, and I don't think that even paints the whole picture, but that's when you really start to be like, okay, does he actually have what it takes?
Like
now,
the question is
it's
the
not
question
a full make or break.
because I still think there's a question for me, at least, is Prime a great coach? Is he even a good coach? Or is he just really good at getting some players? Right? And I think next year really shows that because obviously he got some players, right? Shadur is a player, right? Travis Hunter is obviously a player. I think Cormani McClain is going to be a player. Now, the question is, can he coach them? And I don't know if we've really seen that this year. I think it's tough in a year to really show if you can coach these guys. It'll be interesting to see the growth of Cormani. It'll be interesting to see, growth, like what they can do with the offensive line. Can they grow there? Are they going to have to totally revamp their offensive line in front seven again, or are they going to be able to grow the talent? This is where you find the true test of like what is Prime as a coach is this year, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. And Drummer Duck brings up in the comments, recruiting hasn't been good behind Colorado State. Yeah, they are.
Here's the thing.
Said they're using the portal again. Like,
recruiting now. Like when you say recruiting anymore, you have to include the portal. It is another aspect of recruiting at this point. It's not just high school anymore. Recruiting is high school and transfer portal. So when I say recruiting, that's what I mean. I think like we obviously know he can get people in. So what can he do with them then? Because like I said, my questions with him at Jackson were all like, yeah, of course you can win games when you have two like athletes who could be starting on D1 rosters playing in a D2 level. Like, of course you can win games. Yeah. What can you do when everybody's equal or you're actually at a disadvantage when it comes to talent? So I'm really going to have my eyes on Colorado next year to see what they look like with a full offseason with what can Prime do now, right? He was able to turn it around somewhat. Can he complete it?
Yeah, I mean, that's for sure what it is. It's also not going to be complete in year 2 though, right? Like I think
this is where you start to see.
You just have to see continual growth and improvement.
Yeah, because if they go in and go 1-7 in the Big 12, that's a red flag. That's a problem, right. And then you got to explore why. But if they win 4 games in the Big 12, that's
right. If next year they're bowl eligible at 6-6 or 7-5, that's
improvement,
objective improvement, and we're seeing the trends in the right way.
The question is then, is it actually an improvement or is it a weaker conference, right?
You just need to see better results. Yeah. And yes, they're going to be helped out by getting a downgraded conference. No doubt about it. But that's what they like. The offensive linemen had zero hope this year of really learning anything because they were just going to get smoked every week. The Pac-12 is fucking stupid. I mean, if you look at their schedule, the teams that they lost to they lost to USC by a score. Now, USC took a downward tumble. Yes, they're 7-5. It's still Caleb Williams, the reigning Heisman winner. They lost to him by a score. Who else lost to USC by a score? Arizona. All right. And Arizona's in the top 15 right now.
Yeah.
So 1 score. Stanford game, we've already talked about that. If that game's played 10 times, Colorado's going to win that one with the way it played out 9 times out of 10. They just happened to be the one time they lost. The UCLA game, they got beat up pretty good. Oregon State, they could have won that game. They got outplayed, but it was within a score. If you're within a score, you can win it. Arizona again. Arizona led that game for 3 seconds, and it was right at the end. So it's not like this team was awful and non-competitive, right? It wasn't like that at all. So that's just some perspective on the Buffs. Utah's winning the Big 12. Yeah, they absolutely fucking are. I'm under no
I think it's gonna
illusions.
be easy.
I'm under no illusions that Colorado's going to come out and win the Big 12 next year, but they're going to be better than they were this year, and I'm pretty confident in saying that. Even if they're as good as they were this year, it will appear better and they will play better because they're not playing the gauntlet that was the Pac-12 this year. So that's it. I'm not going to focus much more on Colorado next week. Like, they're going to get blown out by Utah this week. So I wanted to get my Colorado stuff out this week because next week I'm really hoping we have bigger fish to fry. We'll get to that in a second. Other games in the Pac-12 this week, we had Utah getting absolutely smoked by Arizona in the desert.
Man, I tell you what, Noah Fafita is him. That dude is dangerous.
Yeah.
It's funny because his stats aren't necessarily mind-blowing, but god damn it, aren't they? He's fucking good, man.
He just knows how to get it done.
Yeah. It's just one of those things. It's just crazy. And we got to talk about McMillan as well. Tataro, I don't know his first. I can't. I'm butchering that. But like,
It's
the dude's
Tataro.
big. I really wish he would have come to Oregon. That he's like big, strong, fast, everything you want in a receiver. That team's rolling, man. And obviously Utah is kind of on the downward trend as well, right? They haven't had their quarterback all year. They've probably just kind of lost it mentally, which is a rarity with a Whittingham team. But like, when you're as injured as Utah is this year, I mean, they don't have either their two All-American tight ends. They don't have their quarterback. They don't have like half their fucking defense. I'm
They
not
also
surprised.
played the six best teams in the conference in an 8-week span.
Yeah, like Utah had it rough. I don't blame them for this loss. I think they're still a pretty good team.
Yeah.
But Arizona's again, it's kind of like we talk about this season is like teams on the up versus teams on the down. And while Utah's still a good team, they're on the down, and it's no like I don't think anybody would disagree with me on that. But Arizona is way on the up, and Jed Fish, if he's at Arizona next year, deserves a huge fucking raise. If he doesn't go to A&M, that is true. That means he's going to A&M because what he's done at Arizona, he deserves Coach of the Year. Without question in my mind, he deserves Coach of the Year for the nation. What he's done at Arizona is frankly insane.
For those catching up, Arizona, the University of Arizona is missing $250 million. Just missing it.
Just gone.
So they're talking about cutting athletic programs and shit. So that's where that comment came from.
I don't know. They could have University of Arizona athletics brought to you by Oregon State.
They also don't have money to buy Arizona's athletics. They don't even have money to put food in the press box.
They're about to get $250 million.
Oh,
Ain't no way they're keeping that. Ain't no way they're keeping that.
So, University of Arizona athletics brought to you by the Pac-2. Wazoo and Oregon State go in at halvesies.
Tupac.
And keep their fingers in,
all of a sudden they're in
relevant
the Big 12.
teams. Yeah, exactly.
I'm just ready for Arizona athletics brought to you by Amazon or some shit because that's what's gonna have to happen.
Arizona athletics brought to you by Raytheon.
By
That's definitely going to be one to keep an eye on.
Hey, GoDaddy.com is a really big company in Arizona. Okay.
God, do you remember how uncomfortable their commercials used to be? They were so bad, and like even as like a dude in my teens, like I was still like, this is overly
This
sexual.
is too
I don't
much,
like
right?
This is too much for TV. Like
Not like this.
yeah.
Let's see. Elsewhere in the pack, UCLA went out and held USC to 20 points.
I fucking love this so much because all the shit with Chip Kelly, we talked about how it's a bad move regardless, but because they were talking about firing Chip Kelly, they were going to fire Chip Kelly. Guess what? Can't now, bitch. You Orgeroned yourself. You Orgeroned yourself.
They absolutely can't. And if they do, they're doomed.
they're doomed. I think they're doomed anyway. I think Chip Kelly's a great coach.
Doomed anyway. Chip Kelly, and supposedly it's because Chip doesn't like the administration doesn't get along with him, and he doesn't do enough outside of football, like the rah-rah stuff that you're supposed to do for the school, which if you knew anything about Chip Kelly when you hired him, you would know you're not getting any of that shit.
Yeah. So I'd like to point out something about this game.
What's
We're going to take Caleb Williams' sacks out of this, right? USC rushed 15 times for 23 yards. Without Caleb Williams' sack yards, 23 yards.
Did they have 7 sacks, or were a couple of those runs?
I don't know. A couple of them were probably.
They had 4
runs.
sacks, so 3 of those were runs.
3 of those were runs.
Anyway.
Still, like they had 3 yards on the ground. 3 trace.
Bro, that's nuts.
Caleb Williams had 384 yards through the air.
And
dude, when you're we talked about this, like if you're that one-dimensional, you're gonna have a rough time, man.
Caleb Williams' draft stock is falling quickly, and it's because of what I said last week. He doesn't make on-schedule plays ever.
I mean, he still was 31 for 42.
None of it's on schedule, man. It's all moving around in the pocket, getting guys open, and then hitting it
31 times.
Insane
None of them were on schedule.
He doesn't just sit in the pocket and go through his progressions. There's none of that. Now, sometimes there's a quick read. It's a one, snap the ball, throw, right? Okay, yeah, that's on schedule. But none of it is like what you're looking for in the NFL, right? What Bo Nix does. Stand in the pocket, 1, 2, 3, dump off.
Yeah. But here's the thing, though, is like they said that about C.J. Stroud, too. And look, he's fucking lighting it up this year in the NFL.
Yeah, I think he's going to get brought back down to reality, too, once the book's out on him, though. Because that's what happens with these guys in the NFL. Baker,
but like he's not like that's the thing is like this is one of the things like they said he couldn't read defenses. He had a horrible Wonderlic score. He's too dumb to be whatever.
And
yada yada
can
yada.
Get you somewhere.
Yeah, but like this is what I'm trying to say here is that that's not the case, right? They said he couldn't read defenses. He clearly can. He's a pocket passer at Houston, right? He doesn't do those off schedule things, and that's what I'm saying is like Caleb Williams can be like the whole like he doesn't read it in college. That doesn't mean he can't, right?
I'm just saying what is being said about him and what I have seen is he relies on his insane ability to escape and his insane arm talent, which does not always translate to NFL success. Yeah. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I understand that's all you're saying, but like it's one of those things where NFL scouts are also the dumbest people in the world.
I would still draft. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
If he somehow falls to like the Broncos at 12, fucking take him.
Take him all day. Because here's the thing.
I'm not saying I'm not.
You can teach a guy to read a defense if he's got the work ethic to learn. You can teach. You can't teach a guy the fucking intangibles that Caleb Williams has. You can't teach him how to throw a dart 60 yards off your back foot.
I agree with you. He's got that for days, and the stuff that he does with a football is fucking crazy. Like the one touchdown pass he had, did you see it to Brendan Rice?
Yeah,
fucking off his back foot,
insane,
running the other way, 50 yards on a dime.
That's what I was saying. Yeah, like
insane football. But
so this is like when I hear all the stuff about his like stock dropping and stuff, and I'm like, is it really though? Like, okay, if I go, hey Jamie, you want to take Drake May or Caleb Williams?
It also might be. Oh, absolutely, Caleb Williams.
Exactly.
But it also might be.
Him or Bo Nix.
This whole game is. Oh, that's tough.
That's actually tough. I think Bo Nix is rising though. I think he's like
Bo Nix is rising hard.
He's putting himself in that conversation.
He is because he's doing everything that I'm saying Bo Nix isn't.
Caleb. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Caleb Williams isn't.
Yeah.
Bo Nix is doing everything Caleb Williams isn't. The other than the on-field stuff, I think the bigger red flag for me when it comes to Caleb Williams is how he's handling losing, which is weird to say, but you're going to lose in the NFL. Like, you're not going to win every game. Caleb Williams is not used to losing in college. He is not handling it well at all. Refusing to talk to the media after losing now 4 times.
Yeah.
That's a
pretty
bad
shitty.
look.
That's dumb. Yeah, that's bad.
And then like crying in the stands with your mom after making fun of who was it last year that was crying after a bowl game? Was it Drake May? Might have been.
I don't remember.
He made fun of somebody on Twitter who was crying after a bowl game last year. And then he goes and does like, that's the stuff that's like, are you really ready to be the guy? Because when you lose, you have to stand up there and talk to the media in the NFL.
So it's like the draft day.
Exactly.
How many guys went to your birthday? Caleb.
He's the guy that lies about the $100 bill in the back of the playbook.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying. I'm really happy that USC is 7-5. That shit just makes me so fucking happy.
Love it.
Even though it absolutely blows up my like preseason predictions, I don't care. Fuck my
it's funny.
So
here's why I'm totally okay with it. Because all this means is that USC's defense was worse than we thought it was going to be, and we already thought it was going to be bad.
We thought it was going to be bad, but improved.
It got worse.
Bad and way worse.
It got worse.
This UCLA team, up until this point, had only scored more than 35 points on North Carolina Central.
Yeah, they're horrible. Like, you look at they had 155 yards through the air.
Oh, sorry, Stanford. They scored 42 on Stanford.
They scored 38 with less than just over 150 yards passing. They had 200 yards rushing on the day.
Colorado, the absolute atrocity that was Colorado's defense this year, held UCLA to 28 points.
Yeah, dude, it's insane.
That USC defense is, and they're not recruiting defense. Is Lincoln Riley gone?
Here's the thing, man. I think he's been exposed. Like, you know, I've hopped off the Lincoln Riley train. I hopped off pretty early on, but like, I think he's been exposed, man. I don't think he knows how to like. I think he got lucky at Oklahoma, and even then, those teams weren't that good.
Here's the thing. Literally every year that he's been a coach, his teams have gotten worse. An Oklahoma team got worse year over year.
Yeah.
And USC has now gotten worse year over year. Now, he had the big spike last year because of the transfers. But every year that he has coached those teams, they've gotten worse.
Yeah. I'm not a Lincoln Riley guy anymore, man. I thought when he was like moving from Oklahoma to USC, I was like, damn, that's gonna really suck for the Pac-12. But now I'm like, hire him for life, because he may get that offensive talent, but he can't do shit with it.
And here's the thing, they owe him like $100 million.
Yeah, they do.
So it's not like they can just fire him.
Yeah, they do.
Because even though USC has an insane amount of money, it's not Texas A&M money, and you're not just going to give the guy $100 million. So they're stuck with him.
Oh, that's hilarious.
They have to hope he's leaving, right? Lincoln is the best offensive coordinator in college football history. I mean, I don't know if I can say that. He's a very good offensive coordinator. Don't get me wrong. And he can bring in some offensive talent. He also was an OC with some of the best quarterbacks ever. So, yeah, very good offensive coordinator. Don't get me wrong. I'm not trying to shit on him as an OC, but he is a mediocre at best head coach right now.
Yeah, he's a mid to at least, like, I mean, he could be bad. We don't really know yet.
I would say with this talent, the talent that's on this team, like that defense has talented players. We talked about it in the preseason. We talked about it. This has to be one of the worst coaching jobs of the year.
It's terrible.
With the amount of talent that's on that team to finish 7-5.
It's pathetic, man. Like,
that is terrible. So I'm all about it.
Wild. Here's the thing, though.
Keep it forever.
This just keeps the USC reputation alive that I've had since I was in college, and that is USC is the school where 5 stars go to die.
That's been true since Pete Carroll left.
Yep. And I mean, even like the final years of Pete Carroll at USC, like even then, like it was a lot of it was because they were so stacked all the time. But like there were guys who were like number 1 or 2 overall recruits who like never saw the field at USC.
Yep.
Just never played. And you're like, it's where 5 stars go to die, baby.
Yep. So be interesting to see what happens with USC moving forward. But them, and they're done, right? That was their 12th game. 7-5 is where they
barely
finished.
bowl eligible.
That's nuts, man. See who starts in the Alamo Bowl for Vegas. I don't even know what bowl game they're going to be at. It's going to be bad.
Yeah, who's their backup? I don't even know. Oh, Malachi Nelson. Good. That's right. He was that. Yeah. He was the top player. Dude, they have 6 quarterbacks on their roster. That's insane.
Yeah, that's a lot.
I've never heard of like more than like 4. Although a couple of these guys be like walk-ons too.
Yeah, that's probably what it is. Are we going to acknowledge that Dion thought Mount Rushmore was in LA? He made fun of himself for that, so I don't know that I need to make fun of him for it.
Was in LA.
Yeah, he was in his talking about Mount Rushmore. He's like those things with the guys on the mountain in LA. Everybody's like, "Are you talking about what? Mount Rushmore?" That's in South Dakota.
Hey, and he's nobody ever paid Dion for a history lesson, baby.
He was like, you can tell geography's not my strong suit.
Nobody ever paid Dion for a history lesson.
No. I don't give a shit if he knows where Mount Rushmore is. Just fucking bring in some big boys, please. All right. Let's see. Cal, Stanford, the big game. Cal won. Stanford's bad. Not really much else to say there.
Is really good.
Jay Knott's really good. Everybody was saying that Justin Wilcox was on the hot seat this year. I don't think he's even sniffed the hot seat. First of all, I don't think Cal cares that much.
Yeah.
That's the
big one.
Second of all, I don't think he's done a bad job at all. Look at the games he's lost. Washington, Oregon State, Utah, USC, and Oregon. Those are the games Cal should lose.
I mean, the Auburn game is looking like a real bad loss at this point.
It is. Absolutely. And we'll talk about Auburn in a minute. And it was a bad loss, but that team was like, they didn't know who the quarterback was for that game. Like, that game was a shit show all over the place. Cal is 5-6. This is a Cal team that was Colorado's only win last year.
Yep. They could go bowling, man. UCLA could drop an egg, man. We don't know.
Absolutely could. I think Justin Wilcox is doing a great job. I don't think he's on the hot seat even remotely.
No.
And then the battle down in Tempe, Oregon, Arizona State. Us Duck fans can finally breathe a sigh of relief when it comes to November games in the state of Arizona.
Thank God, dude.
And
it's the last one too. Thank God.
And it was evident from the now it's just going to be like November games in Iowa or some stupid shit. But anyway, it was evident from the jump that Oregon was just going to absolutely destroy this game.
Well, I did you watch the cinema recap?
I did. Cinematic
recap. Bo Nix saying, "I don't think I've ever been this locked in." What? And it showed. He had 404 yards and 6 touchdowns in a half and 1 drive.
Yeah, and it should have been 7 touchdowns.
Because that offensive PI,
that offensive PI is the most Pac-12 bullshit call I've ever seen in my life. He should have set the Oregon single game touchdown record.
Yes,
passing touchdown record.
You could see how much he wanted it too.
Oh, he wanted it so bad. Oregon could have won this game by 80.
Easy.
If they kept their foot on the gas and the starters in all game, they would have won by 80. And I don't think Arizona State maybe gets a field goal.
I would agree with that. Maybe.
I mean, the defense was flying.
Outside of that first drive where they did where Scatabo had the pass out of nowhere, the gadget play, Arizona State couldn't do a damn thing against those.
Man, I think I texted you guys this in the game. The only hope that teams have against Oregon right now, Oregon's defense, is gadget plays. USC was throwing out trick plays on the first drive because they knew they had to score and score fast.
Yeah.
You know, Arizona State, same thing. Trick plays, gadget plays on the first drive because they had to try to get their lumps in early and hope Oregon stumbled because of it, because this team's fucking locked in, dude. I haven't seen top to bottom a team play like this team is. Oregon play like this.
Yeah. And like, it was just like one of those games where you're just like, oh shit, like this team's so fucking good. Like Gary Bryant Jr. just ripping off that insane catch and run, like unbelievable. He made those. He made D1 like a pretty decent, like not a horrible defense, right? Like Arizona State's not a bad defense. They're not good.
He made them look silly.
He made them look like children, right? I mean, this is a team that held Washington to 15 points with no offensive touchdowns, and Oregon just wrecked them at home.
Yeah,
like man, you always have, it's a good day when you hear the name Darian Anderson called out for getting a catch. He's a freshman wide receiver who's 5'9".
Yep.
On the Ducks, he has 2 catches on the season for 16 yards. His one catch in this game was for 16
yards. Yep.
So yeah, man, there's not much to say. They're just locked in, and it showed. And they look like the best team in the country right now, man. And I know they're not necessarily playing like, yeah. I mean, Georgia looks incredible too, but yeah, they could. I know we said like there's no limit at the top for this team, but and I'm getting my hopes up so much right now. I'm like, God, I could see it winning all. And now I'm just like, but then going into the Oregon State game, I'm like,
no,
fuck.
I'm really trying not to, but like as good as those 2012, 2014, 2010 teams were, this team from top to bottom is better.
Just better.
And I saw something on Twitter, and I don't know that I can disagree with it. This Oregon team would be a double-digit favorite against any of those teams. And I don't know if I disagree. What was
Drummer Duck says, I think it's the consistency. One year the defense is amazing. One year the offense is amazing. Have you heard what's playing at the facility nonstop? I have not heard what's playing at the facility nonstop, but it's the best team since 2012. I think they beat 2012.
I think they're better, man. Like
top to bottom.
This is an offense that could, like, what was the one thing that Oregon couldn't do with those Chip Kelly teams? What was the one kryptonite? And it was always Stanford. What was the kryptonite? A team that was more physical than them.
Yep.
This Oregon team is more physical and faster than you.
Yeah.
At basically every position. It's nuts.
Yeah, I listener and viewer, I texted Jamie, I texted our group chat, the podcast group chat, and I posed the question. It'll be interesting to see what chat says about this. If Bo Nix wins a national championship
and a Heisman, yeah,
is he the greatest quarterback in Oregon history? Now, they're playing the fourth quarter of the Civil War from last year nonstop. Good.
That's fucking awesome.
That's fucking so sick.
I love that.
And I think we kind of came to a consensus that it's really, really close. if Bo Nix wins a championship. However, pure quarterbacking in college, I think I still give the edge to Mariota. It's tough though, man. It's like right there, because I look at if Mariota was on this team, I don't know if they lose that Washington game. The shit I was watching his highlights the other day, the shit he did in college, it's just mind blowing. Absolutely mind blowing. And Bo's doing some incredible things, and Bo's probably the more like fundamentally sound quarterback here. But that's not necessarily what college football's about.
That's probably, yeah. So that my initial reaction to what you said was each player was better for their team.
Yeah.
That was my initial Bo Nix on the 2014, 2012 teams. That Oregon team's not what it was with Marcus. And Marcus on this team, Bo Nix, the command that Bo Nix has of this offense and the way he checks and does everything that this team needs to do, Bo Nix is better. And then I thought about it and again went back and watched some of Marcus's stuff. Man, it's hard to.
Well, the thing is, it's not like Marcus wasn't pocket pat. That's a big common misconception about Marcus, is that he's just like
all he did was run.
Yeah, he's a running quarterback or whatever. He went people forget he did progressions. He stood in the pocket. He pushed the ball vertical. He did all of that shit. And so I think again with an offensive line like this year, right? And him having basically all day and his legs, because there's no doubt his legs are better than Bo's.
Yeah.
Right. It's a slight edge to Marcus, which is, I want to say, not a knock on Bo Nix at all. That is a huge compliment that he's even in the same fucking breath.
It makes Bo Nix one or two.
I think Bo Nix right now is 2.
I think that's probably accurate.
Right now,
no disrespect to Joey
or Herbert or
Fouts.
No disrespect to any of those guys. This is insane. What Bo Nix has been able to do this year is insane, and he deserves it.
I think the thing that's most impressive watching him play again, and Dan Lanning even said it's like we make a call and Bo just looks at the defense, is like, nope, I'm going to do something else.
Yep.
And you don't see that in college. You see Tom Brady do that shit.
Yeah.
You don't see college quarterbacks go up to the line and make a check by themselves.
Not
you see
many
them look at the sideline and do it.
Yeah. Not many college quarterbacks are in the coaches' meetings like Bo Nix is.
Yeah.
And the guy's insane.
To be fair, no college quarterbacks have started 58 games. So to be fair, there's a reason that he's able to do what he's doing. But it doesn't take away from how impressive it is. It is fun to watch, and I hope it continues to be fun to watch for 4 more games.
4 more games, baby. I was just sitting there and I was watching the game and I was like, this team can win it all. And I haven't felt that in so long, of just being like this team could truly win it all, right? And a lot of teams have been oh, they're good.
Yeah,
they have a chance.
We have, but
I'm this is a team that can win it all right now.
Yeah, we have,
and they should.
The smoke screen in what was it? 2019
when we won in the shoe.
The year with Herbert. No, the year with Herbert when they got back up to number 4 in the rankings and lost at Arizona State in November.
Yeah.
Was that 2019?
Something, I don't know.
I want to say it was.
You're asking me about years? Get the fuck out of here.
Was the last time that they were truly sniffing the playoff?
Yeah.
That one was it'd be fun to make the playoffs, but we're going to get absolutely destroyed by Alabama or Georgia or Clemson.
Yeah.
At the time. This year, I would if we're looking this is looking way ahead, but let's just say that first round matchups against Georgia, the entire narrative of that is going to be, look what Georgia did to Oregon last year.
Yeah.
And tell me you haven't watched an Oregon game this year without telling me you haven't watched an Oregon game this year, because that would be the best narrative ever going into that playoff game. Because Oregon can just have that chip, and you put a chip on this team's shoulder and watch the fuck out, because they're gonna knock you in the teeth.
Mm-hmm. This is like I said, like you said, like we've been like, 2012, we were like, this team could win it all. That was the last time I've really been like, this team can go toe to toe with any team in the country, right? Every other year, it's been like, oh, we could win one, like it could happen. This one's like, if the Ducks go against Georgia, if the Ducks go against Michigan, if the Ducks go against Washington again, if they go against Florida State, I can pick the Ducks and be confident in that pick.
You know what really pisses me off?
What really pisses you off, Jamie?
If the Pac-12 had done what they should have done originally and what every conference should fucking do, and not have division winners play in the conference championship game, you know who would have played in the conference championship game in 2012?
I don't want to talk about it.
Oregon and Stanford. You know who would have won that game? Oregon would have won that game. And you know who would have played Alabama, probably the worst national champion, that 2012 Alabama team, the worst national champion in the last 2 decades? It would have been Oregon, and Oregon would have won. So that's my depressing thought for the day.
Or the final year of the BCS, Oregon would have won that.
Yeah, if Dennis Dixon stayed healthy.
Yeah, with no, it was the year where it was Alabama and Notre Dame.
That was 2012.
Was that? Yeah, that was 2012. Okay, yeah,
same year.
Ugh.
But I also want to point out that if the Pac-12 hadn't come to their senses and gotten rid of the division winners, Oregon would already be eliminated.
Yep.
Because they would not be even eligible for the Pac-12 championship game already today, as we sit here. And we would be talking like it was 2012, that this is an Oregon team that could have won the national championship, and they're not even going to get a shot.
Yep.
And so
I'm
God
so excited for the 12-team playoff.
Something right.
I'm so excited for the 12-team playoff. There's been like a lot of backlash recently I've been seeing of like people like, this is exactly the reason why we need a 4-team playoff. This year is exactly the reason why we need a 4-team playoff.
Exactly the reason why we don't need a 4-team
That's what I view it as. But they're like saying like, because everything mattered, strength of schedule matters, blah, blah, blah. I was like, here's the thing, man. I will gladly, at this point in my life, I will gladly sacrifice a little bit of importance in the regular season for insane playoffs.
Insane.
There's going to be, people don't understand, man. There's going to be playoff games at home. Home playoff games. I will take that 100 out of 100 times over a regular season fluke loss, ruining 100%. A season.
100%.
100% of the time. Without fail. 1,000,000 out of 1,000,000. I'm taking a home playoff game over being scared of one regular season loss.
Also, let's just look at this, right? If this was next year, the playoff would look like this: Georgia, Ohio State, Washington, Florida State would be slotted as your top 4 right now, as we sit here today. After that, you would have Michigan, Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Missouri, Louisville, Penn State, and Tulane.
Yes.
That would be your playoff.
Yes, please.
2 of those teams have 2 losses. 2.
Yeah.
So it's not like the importance of the regular season just fucking disappears.
Yeah.
You also still can't lose a bunch of games and make it into the playoffs.
Okay. Also, here's the thing: you have a insane advantage being in the top 4. Having a bye week in the playoff, you get 2 weeks off, and the next team doesn't. That's a huge advantage.
You literally get to sit in your team meeting room and watch the game that's going to determine who you're playing.
Exactly.
With your coach sitting there.
Yep. Like, dude, the 12-team playoff is just better all around. I'll say it till I'm blue in the face.
Oh, anybody that says otherwise is crazy. I understand the appeal of what's like when I talk about the drama and the script couldn't be written any better, I do love that. And I get why people love it. The fact that my team, like, there's even an inkling that Oregon could win the Pac-12 championship and be left out. The fact that that's even remotely a possibility is fucking absurd.
Yeah. Well, we talk about the 4 team never really made sense.
No,
right?
There's
Because
there's
five Power 5 conferences. You could theoretically have 5 undefeated conference champions, and you have to just leave one out arbitrarily. It's a bad system.
Yeah.
We're going to a good system.
If you're arguing anything, I think 12's the number. Like, I think they're nailing it on the fucking head. Anything, you could get me with 8.
You could get me with 6. You could with two bye weeks.
Yeah, you could get me with 6.
I could get behind 6, but 4 is not the number.
4 is not the number. I don't even think 8's the number because you want the bye weeks. Yeah. You could get me with 10 with the same kind of model. 12's a good number. 12's a great number. I love it. I'm so excited. I'm sad that it's not this year. But the path is right there for Oregon. So let's talk about let's get into our rankings a little.
Well, actually, no, we still have to talk about the last game. We didn't talk about Washington.
We did.
State.
Washington, Oregon State.
The top 15 matchup.
In true Pac-12. Well, I just don't like talking about these two schools, but here we are. Washington just continues to win, man. And everybody's like, this was such a gritty win by Washington. It's like, yeah, but look at the stats. They didn't score in the second half.
No. I fully disagree with that narrative. A gritty win is when you grind out a win. They scored in the first half and then not again. That's not a gritty win. That is a by your bootstraps, like barely hanging on win. Like
this, the narrative around this is insane. It's like everybody's now finally starting to give Washington credit because of this game, which was one of their worst.
Yeah.
Like, I get it was a top 12 opponent that they played. I understand, but like, really, that's what we're looking at?
Not the Oregon win.
Not the Oregon win where they just could have scored 100. No, we're talking about this game where Washington didn't score in the second half, and Michael Penix Jr. looked lost for most of the game. They're singing he was 13 of 28. He was fucking terrible.
Yeah. Let me tell you something. If it's raining, because it was raining, so a lot of people are saying, "Oh, it was raining." If it's raining in the Pac-12 championship, if it's raining, Ducks by a milli.
Yeah, like can't rain in a dome, but
I know. But if it were Ducks by a milli, baby,
yeah.
like,
come on now.
It's man. I mean, like, here's the thing. It was a great game to watch. It was a lot of fun, and this is exactly what I wanted as a Duck fan.
Oh,
like
100%.
To the T. It was a close game, and Washington barely eking it out. So it makes Washington look good with another ranked win, and it's not going to punish Oregon State, which both of those things happened. This is ideal for the Ducks.
100%.
Now the Ducks just need to go win those games.
100%. Back to your rain argument. It was also raining in the Oregon-Cal game, and Oregon scored 63 points, and Bo Nix was 29 of 38 for 386 yards and 4 touchdowns. So don't come at me with that crap. Don't come at me with the rain. Newsflash, it fucking rains in Oregon and Washington. Like, this should not be a thing.
Yeah,
whatever. If it boosts Washington up and they're in the top 4, I am all fucking for it.
I'll take it.
And then the most annoying thing about all of this, which Washington, holy shit, get your fans in check. Because I have never, ever heard of a fan base crying so hard about a championship game not counting as they already are. the number of Washington fans out there and reputable ones. Jordan Reffett's he's an ex-player. He played in the NFL. Saying that Washington, it shouldn't matter if Washington wins the Pac-12 championship game. They should be in the top 4 no matter what because they went 12-0.
Some real Chris bullshit.
What the fuck is that?
Chris is going to catch some strays here. That's some real Chris with Alabama bullshit.
Oh my God, dude. Why even play conference championship games? We just shouldn't have them. If you win the most in the regular season, you're in.
I've never seen a team so scared to play the championship.
Oh my yeah, like tell me you don't want to play Oregon without telling me you don't want to play Oregon.
Yeah, or Arizona. Here's the thing, man. If Oregon, God forbid,
no, we're not even talking about these scenarios. Here's
the thing. If I'm gonna go for one. If Arizona, by some stretch of a miracle, makes it to the Pac-12 championship game,
okay, allow it.
I'm gonna pick Arizona in that game.
Yeah,
neutral site. I'm gonna pick him.
I am too. Washington has been USC of last year,
just winning somehow,
winning by the skin of their teeth. Other teams choke. It's not been impressive, but they're doing it and they're getting the wins. That's what USC did last year. What happened to USC in that Pac-12 championship game, by the way?
What happened to USC in their bowl game?
Yeah, exactly. So,
Jamie, really quickly, before we get past that, you're talking about a fan base of a team who has claims to national championships.
Did you hear
they're
in
not,
the broadcast?
They have 2 claims to national championships. They don't have them. They just claim them.
Did you guys catch this in the broadcast? On the screen it said 1990 national champions, but Fowler was very clear in saying the shared national championship.
Yeah, they claim it because they went 12-0. And Miami's over here like, I don't know, guys.
Also, they won was it the coaches poll? Which is the one that...
Yeah.
90? Was it the coaches poll that they won?
I don't know.
I'm not sure.
Because back then you could get the AP national championship or the other one. I don't know if it was a coaches poll or some weird other poll out there.
Mm-hmm.
They got the other one. The AP is the one that's most recognized as the national champion. So they didn't even win the stupid way that they used to do it. They didn't even win the good one.
Yeah, Washington got the coaches and the FWAA.
Yeah, dude. Stupid.
Miami
nonsense.
got the AP,
They didn't even get the AP.
Was the standard.
I can't even tell you how badly I am going to be fucking ruthless the day that Oregon wins a true national championship.
Ruthless, dude.
Unbearable.
My Twitter is going to be unfucking hinged.
For years.
I'm going to be the guy that everybody thinks Oregon fans are, right? I'm going to be that guy who's just like, a million uniform combinations, a more recent national championship than you all fucking got.
More real national championships than you got. Washington's sitting over there with their participation trophy banner up on their stadium.
Yeah, because their 1960 was.
Expect me for a week. Yeah. If we win the national championship, I'm calling out. I never call out sick. I'm not coming to work.
Mm-mm.
It's not
straight up.
Nope.
And
I'm gonna drink again. Celebration.
You should. Relentless. Anyway, getting way ahead of myself. But it will happen someday, and I truly believe Dan Lanning's the guy to do it. I don't know if it's this year, but man, Dan Lanning has me running through fucking walls.
Fuck everybody but us.
Dude, he wearing an FEBU shirt? Are you kidding me?
Fuck everybody but us.
He wore it to the fucking game.
Yep.
Under his stuff. Yep.
I would kill for him.
And the fact that he's so committed. Oregon's going to win a national championship with Dan Lanning. I'm fully confident in saying that. And it could be this year.
What's up?
Anyway, other notable games this weekend, not a lot. Obviously, we had Cupcake Week in the SEC, but we did have Georgia, Tennessee, which is an objectively good game, and Georgia did Georgia things.
I've been low on them all year, so
You have. You have, but they did hold Tennessee scoreless at home in the second half. So Georgia's back to being Georgia.
Yeah.
Florida had Missouri dead to rights and pulled a Colorado Stanford type blow it in that one. So those were really the only two games of any consequence in the SEC, other than Auburn paying New Mexico State $1.8 million to get blown out. Not only did they lose
At home,
they lost by 3 touchdowns.
at home.
They had kids crying in the stands.
Oh boy, but it just means more. It just means more, Jamie. Just means more.
It just means more.
Wait till New Mexico State plays a real SEC team.
For those that don't get the joke, when Tennessee came to Oregon in 2012,
Yeah, before we moved.
Yep.
2012, and we beat the socks off of them, the fans in the stands were like, wait till you play a real SEC team. We're like, what the fuck are you?
They were saying you will never beat an SEC. They started off with,
team.
you will never beat an SEC team. And Jamie's like, look at the fucking scoreboard. And then he's like, you'll never beat a real SEC team. I was like, you're a fan of this team. They won a national championship not that long ago.
It was one of the weirdest fan interactions I've ever had in my life.
It was hilarious. The mental gymnastics
about?
of SEC fans, man. It's so good. But yeah, go fucking Aggies, huh? I had to think about that.
Shit.
Here's how New Mexico State lives. I had to think about what their mascot is. If I have to think about your mascot, that means you're a nobody.
Yep. Ohio State continued to roll. Probably could have shut out Minnesota. They got a field goal on their second stringers. So Ohio State is rolling. Michigan struggled with Maryland. Could have lost this game. Very questionable at best.
Mm-hmm.
Safety for Michigan in the later minutes of that game on a intentional grounding in the end zone that I don't think in any fucking universe should be intentional grounding.
Yeah,
and
you could see the receiver on the screen.
It landed 5 yards in front of him. Like it wasn't even that far away.
Yeah, it wasn't. That was a really bad call. That was a script writer for me. And it was, man. And here's the thing: I like Maryland. I like what they've done this year. I don't think they're a bad team. But if Michigan is what they've been said to be, they should have blown them out.
Yeah. Now, you always have letdown games, and a letdown game before the Michigan-Ohio State game is not the end of the world. And they came out on top, so they still won, and everything's still in front of Michigan. But it is why I put Ohio State in front of Michigan for the first time in my rankings.
I'm also just really sick of them acting like fucking victims.
Oh my God, I'm so over Michigan.
It's so fucking annoying.
It is insane for me. Like I would always root for Michigan in this game, so because I'm so sick of Ohio State.
Yeah,
but I hope Ohio State blows them out, and I hate saying that. But I just want,
especially because your sister graduated from Michigan.
She's a UCLA fan.
Yeah, it's fine.
You're always your undergrad, but like I'm tired of Michigan crying and whining when they did all of this to themselves.
Yep.
Florida State beat North Alabama, but that is not the storyline in this game because Jordan Travis left the game. I don't know if it was the first or second drive, early in the first quarter, with an absolutely brutal leg injury.
Yeah, really sucks for him. Really talented player.
Really talented player. Stuck with Florida State when, especially in this era, a lot of guys would have bolted.
Yep.
I have a lot of respect for Jordan Travis.
I do too. Really sad way it ended. So yeah. I mean, he was like basically their entire team, so I wouldn't expect. Kind of opens the door for a lot of teams now, but
Yeah, and everybody's like, Tate Rodemaker is going to be great. He sat behind Jordan Travis for 3 years. It's like, yeah, there's a reason he sat behind him. And he was 13 of 23 against North Alabama.
yeah,
Like,
it'll be
what? Like, come on now.
Okay,
Yeah.
Florida State.
So-
Although, I mean, it's fucking who do they play this week? Fucking probably no one.
No, they play Florida,
Who they play Florida? They could lose that game.
and it's a rivalry game. So Florida's not good, but it's a rivalry game. And I guarantee you the big boys on Florida are scarier than the guys on North Alabama.
Yep.
So for a fresh quarterback taking his first ever start, yeah, that's not how you want to start it.
Yeah.
I mean, Florida's bad. It's probably better than everybody else that Florida has played since LSU.
Florida State. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is sad because anyway, the ACC is terrible and they do not belong in the playoff.
The line is 10.5 Florida State. Matchup predictor is giving 81% chance to Florida State. I wonder if that's been updated since. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, do they take into account that their entire offense is now gone?
Don't know. Guess we'll
find out. All right, let's get to our rankings here. Cameron's going to get those up on the screen. 1 through 5, we've got Georgia, Ohio State, Washington jumping up to 3, Michigan at 4, and Florida State at 5. So some big shakeups there in the top 4. And I think that's just a matter of us. I like the way that we do rankings just as a whole, because we look at this as a week in, week out. Who do we think's the best teams type thing?
Yeah.
Deserving matters, right? Like if I was just doing who's the best teams, Florida State would be at like 9.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
So deserving still matters, but we're looking at this like the AP poll. It's like if you win, you're not going to drop, and I don't believe in that. Anyway, so 6 through 10, we've got Oregon, Texas, Alabama, Louisville, Missouri. Then we followed by Penn State, Ole Miss, Oregon State, Oklahoma, Arizona, round out 15. LSU, Tulane, Notre Dame, Kansas State, Oklahoma State in the top 20, and then Iowa, Liberty, Utah, Tennessee, and James Madison round out the top 25.
Yes, sir. I'll tell you what, we were all over the map with Arizona. They were up, I think I had them at 12.
Yep.
And then the lowest had them at, I think one of you guys had them at like 17. So they're like all over the map.
Yeah, I had him at 17. Chris had him at 16. Let's see. And Jamie had him at 13. Eli had him at 12.
Yeah. All over the map, ladies and gentlemen. That was the one that we disagreed with the most.
Here was the thing for me. They had to be ahead of Oregon State. You got the same record and you win the head-to-head.
Yeah.
Unless you have an embarrassing loss, which they don't, I'm going to put you ahead in the head. Like let's say Arizona lost to Stanford. Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Then maybe I put Oregon State ahead of them. But they don't have that, and so I had to put Arizona ahead. That's my thought process there. All over the map. Once you really get past 15, like we've said, it's like throwing spaghetti at a wall. Like who?
It's like, and
really
go.
All right. Rivalry week slate. Let's get into it. Let's start with the Pac-12. We're going to go in chronological order, which means we're starting on Friday night, 5:30 Pacific time, kickoff prime time slot on Fox. The Civil War game, Oregon State at Oregon. Oregon is a 13.5-point favorite in this one. How we feeling, boys?
So obviously, rivalry games are generally really weird, and especially after what happened last year, with Oregon, this gives you pause, right? However, this is a different Oregon team. This is a run defense that is one of the best in the country, and a pass defense that is also one of the better pass defenses in the country. We've got an offense that's clicking a lot better, and it's in Autzen this year.
And they're healthy.
And they're healthy. And they're pissed from last year. And I think there's also an aspect of Dan Lanning's 0-3 against rivals. I think he wants to shut some people up. I think Oregon big. I think Oregon's going to run it up if they can.
I fully agree with you. This is going to be a statement game to end all statement games. I think this team is going to be absolutely livid pissed. And you can say Oregon State's going to be pissed because they're getting left behind by Oregon and yada, yada, yada. You can say whatever you want. And yes, Oregon State's a talented team. Don't get me wrong. Better passing attack than they had last year. Passing wasn't the issue. Oregon's better run defense. There's no way they're going to let Oregon State do what they did to win that game last year. And if it wasn't for a few fluke special teams plays, like people forget the punter drop in the snap and the stuff that led up to Oregon, like just the flukiness that was Oregon State winning that game.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And this Oregon team is just so much better and more at every position than
it's one of those things. Last year, Oregon State had a really good game plan against Oregon, and that's how they won that game, right? Obviously, fluky shit happened, but they won largely on their game plan. They found the weakness, they attacked it on both sides of the ball. This year, those weaknesses aren't there anymore.
They're not.
The run defense is, I would say, the most improved run defense in the country, right? They were pretty atrocious last year, and they are amazing this year. And then on the other side of the ball, they attacked on the outside and got Oregon out of rhythm. You can't do that right now because you got these tight ends. You got Ferguson, you got Herbert, who are just going to rip you up over the middle if you really attack the outside and the edges. And Bo Nix can huck it up the sideline too.
And Bo Nix has 2 feet this year. Last year, Bo Nix was playing on one leg.
Yeah, and so I just. This game, on some level, it's giving me pause, right? Of like, it's a rivalry game. Oregon State has a lot of pride on this game, but so does Oregon, and it's at home. I got Oregon big, and it's gonna be a clear day. I think Bo Nix is gonna have a heyday.
Got to control the QB run. That's the only place I can see them hurting us. The way that these linebackers play sideline to sideline. Can DJ have a couple big runs because of the coverage and the way the field can open up? Sure. Is he going to light them up all game? I just don't see that happening. I don't see. You cannot have one thing beat this team. You have to be basically perfect in every aspect of the game unless Oregon beats themselves.
We will be perfect.
Every
aspect of the game.
Which you can argue.
You run a mile. Sorry, I'm just going to interrupt you here.
Which you can argue that Oregon beat themselves in the Washington game. I don't even know if you can have to argue it because they did. They beat themselves in that. If Oregon plays Oregon, over.
Yep.
And big. So I'm with you. Let's see. Remaining Pac-12 slate, we've got Colorado at Utah. Utah's hanging 21.5. I don't think they're getting that linebacker back for this game. I'm taking Utah because Utah doesn't lose at home, and Colorado's not good right now. But I'm going to take Colorado with the points. Unless Shador's out, which he might be. If Shador's out, Colorado's going to lose by 1,000.
I got Utah, and I got Utah against the spread kind of regardless. This Utah defense is still the truth. They've got a lot of depth, a lot of really disciplined players. Colorado's really thrived on taking advantage of mistakes, and this Utah defense doesn't really do that.
They do lately.
They have a couple times for sure. but with the rush in in whoever the quarterbacks face, I'm gonna take Utah and I'm gonna take the spread here. I think it's gonna be close. See, 21 feels kind of like the number to me, so I'm kind of right in there, but I'm just gonna take Utah on the spread.
So you're taking them to cover,
Yes.
win by more than 22.
Yeah. Actually, no.
I mean, they're
Like I
giving
said,
they're giving Colorado
21
22 points. Like
21 feels like the number. So I'll just go Colorado to cover, but barely.
or Colorado against the spread. Yeah.
To me, it all comes down to if Sione Vaki is back. If he's back, he is that defense. Like he's the heart and soul of that defense. He didn't play against Arizona, and it showed.
Yeah.
So if he's back, and it really does hang on the health of Shedeur. So I know there's a big asterisk here, but that's a massive asterisk. If Shadeur's out, which he might be, Utah's going to cover. I'm not even going to watch this game. So that's that. Arizona State in Tempe. Arizona is a 10.5-point favorite.
I like Arizona. I like Arizona to cover this game. Arizona's rolling, man. Arizona State just got walloped. So I expect kind of more of the same, not on the same level, but 10.5. This feels like a 14, 17-point win.
Yep, I agree wholeheartedly. Apple Cup in Seattle. Washington State out. Washington, 2:00 on Fox on Saturday. Washington hanging 16.5 on the Cougs.
This is a really interesting game. I'm going to watch every fucking snap of this game, I think, because this is what I find very interesting here is Washington State was lost for 6 games in a row. Like they were just awful for 6 games. But then they found something against Colorado, right? Like Colorado's defense is bad, right? But like they found something there, and maybe it was a little bit just a little bit of confidence. Going into a rivalry game, a little bit of confidence can go a long way. However, Washington is still way better than they are. So I'm just going to go Washington, but don't be surprised if Washington State covers here. Don't be surprised. They got a little bit of momentum going into the Apple Cup, which is always a weird-ass game. So I'm going to go Washington, but Washington State to cover.
I agree. It's in Seattle. If this game was in Pullman, I would be tempted. It's in Seattle. Washington doesn't lose in Seattle. I agree with the cover, but I could also see this getting ugly.
Totally.
The other direction. So I'm going to agree with you. This game, it all depends on which Washington State shows up. If it's the Washington State that scored 7 points against Stanford, then
this is a blowout. If it's the Washington State team that showed up last week, it's going to be a game. So we'll see what happens there. Notre Dame Stanford, historic rivalry, ends up being the last game to ever air on the Pac-12 network. Of fucking course, dude.
Notre Dame's hanging 26. I'm taking Notre Dame to cover.
You know what?
You pick it Stanford.
Let's get a little weird. Boys. Last game to air on the Pac-12 network. What is the Pac-12 network notorious for? Weird fucking upsets. I'm going Stanford, baby. In a freak fucking Appalachian State, Michigan game, Stanford pulls off this weird ass win.
I mean, they're plus 1,300. It's worth $5.
It would be something.
It would be something. I'm doing it. I just want to get weird with it, man. I think. Do I actually believe this? Probably not. But we're gonna get weird with it, boys, and it's gonna be fun. It's gonna be a fun time.
I'm still taking Notre Dame and the spread, but I like yours. I like it. Last Pac-12 After Dark game is Cal at UCLA, 8:30 p.m. Mountain Time kickoff in Pasadena. UCLA is favored by 8.5. What say you?
Taking Cal against the
know.
spread. They're either winning or they're not losing by more than 8.5. I think they're gonna lose maybe by 3, or they're gonna sneak one out on Chip.
This is tough. Cal's defense is not great. I'm gonna go UCLA on this one. I think the number's 10, so I'm gonna take them to cover.
Yeah, I agree.
UCLA's defense is really good, especially in the red zone, which is a really bad matchup for Cal because they're really bad in the red zone. So I'm going to go UCLA to cover.
Yeah. UCLA. Oh, it's such a weird team this year.
They're so fucking weird.
Because, like, Ethan Garbers still had a bad game against USC. He just had 3 touchdown passes. All the other stats are terrible. And that USC defense is so bad. So, like, that's such a smokescreen to me.
Mm-hmm.
I think Cal wins this game.
Ooh, I like it. I like the pick. Not as much as my Stanford pick.
I think Cal wins this game, and UCLA fires Chip Kelly.
Oh, if Cal wins, Chip Kelly's 1,000% fired.
Which is still a huge mistake, but I think that's my prediction on this one. This is my shot in the dark. UCLA is just way too unpredictable for me to give any sort of confidence in them in any pick. So that's that. All right. Other big games. Obviously, there's a lot. So this is going to take a minute compared to how we usually do it, because this week is just fucking insane. I'm not going to go through all of them. There are so many games to talk about here. Let's start with Iowa, Nebraska. Iowa has locked up the Big Ten West, looking as boring as possible doing so.
It is just the worst brand of football, man, but it works.
So bad. Nebraska's a 2-point favorite. Nebraska needs this game to be bowl eligible in year 1 under Matt Rule.
Man,
that Iowa defense is so
here's the thing.
And Nebraska's offense is really bad.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. The Nebraska offense has only scored above 28 once, and that was against Purdue. Iowa's defense is insane, to say the least. I mean, you look at Jordan Birch and what he's done at Oregon. That guy was a backup at Iowa. Like, that dude, he's a top tier talent. He's a fucking backup. Actually, he was a rotation.
It wasn't
guy.
Jordan Birch.
Not Jordan Birch.
Justin
Jacobs.
Yep.
Justin Jacobs.
He was a starter too. So
yeah. Anyways, he was. I thought he was a rotational guy.
Maybe, but they were very mad at us for taking him.
Oh, okay. Man, they basically don't let people score. Like 14, 13, 10, 31. That was bad. 16, 14, 6, 10, or 12. Like, they don't let people score. Nebraska's offense is bad. I think Iowa by 2. Because why the fuck not?
Yeah.
It's going to be another like 15-13 weird-ass game.
Oh, yeah. The over-under set at 26.5.
Oh, here's the thing, man. Death, taxes, and the Iowa under. Best bet. Hit it, baby.
26.5.
It's going to be the under, dude. It's going to be the under. Death taxes in the Iowa under. It's a phrase.
I'm also taking Iowa because I'm never gonna fucking pick Nebraska for the life of me. So I'm taking Iowa. Then we have these are Friday games, by the way. We have Texas Tech at Texas. Texas Tech is the last hope to spoil Texas's, not the last hope, before the title game, to spoil Texas's playoff hopes. The Red Raiders have been playing decent ball lately with wins against TCU, Kansas, and UCF in the last 3 weeks. Can they pull another one off?
You know,
Spoiler alert. At Texas, I'm saying no.
Yeah, that's Baron Miller is a good quarterback, or is a good quarterback, but Texas is better. Especially, they've got Quinn Ewers back. They've looked kind of shitty, but they'll get their rhythm, and this is a good game to get their rhythm
I
back,
think this is going to be a get-right game for Texas. I think this is going to probably be pretty ugly.
Yep, I would agree. Texas and the spread.
Yep. All right, now Saturday is when we really get into the meat and potatoes, and it just kicks off with big noon kickoff in Ann Arbor. The game everyone's been talking about all year. Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan's a 3-point favorite, which essentially means Vegas sees this as a push. What do you think here?
Here's my take. Neither of these teams have looked all that impressive to me. They've looked good at times, and their resumes have looked good at times. Michigan has not had the resume, right? In the games that were like kind of the big games and some of the better teams that they've played, I've been more unimpressed with Michigan than I have with Ohio State. McCord has gotten better throughout the season. Watching Michigan struggle against a good Penn State offense or defense, and then struggle again versus Maryland, who's a decent team, pretty good team, but not great. I'm going to take Ohio State, but a close-ass game. I like Ohio State's defense better. And I think Kyle McCord has improved a lot over the years and is actually a pretty good quarterback right now. So I'm going to take Ohio State in this one. If this was in the shoe, I'd probably take Ohio State. Not big, but a good win. But I'm going to take Ohio State in this one.
I go back and forth on this so much for a lot of the same reasons that you just said. J.J. McCarthy has to just be bad because of what we've seen the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
But Kyle McCord hasn't exactly lit it up, like you've said.
No. Statistically, he's having a great season. It is 2,900 yards, 22 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. That's a good season.
It's just when you watch him play, it's not like he's lighting it up.
He's not CJ Stroud, right? Like it's not that kind of player.
He's got the stats against inferior opponents.
Yeah, it's the same with JJ McCarthy. That's how they run up their stats.
My true thing about this game is Oregon would beat them both.
Yep.
So let's get that out of the way. I'm also going to take Ohio State close, but this is really basically a coin flip for me.
I think this is going to be an ugly game.
Oh, I think it's going to be a defensive shootout. So if you like defensive football,
here's the thing. I don't even know if it's going to be. I think it's just going to be a sloppy, ugly game. I don't know what. A gut feeling says this is just not going to be a very fun game to watch.
All this hype, and then it's just going to be a shit show.
Because I think both these teams are kind of overrated where they're at. Obviously, there's nobody who you can place above them because wins matter. But neither of these teams are like that impressive to me right now after I've kind of watched them throughout the season. So I think this is going to be kind of a bad game. It'll be a close one. It'll be exciting, I think, but I think it's going to be kind of bad football.
Yep. I agree with that. Let's see. What else are we looking at here in these top
Can we talk
matchups?
about 1 second? Alabama Auburn, the Iron Bowl.
I was just
Alabama's only a 14.5-point favorite. Auburn just lost by 3 touchdowns at home to New Mexico State.
Yeah, again, I think that's one of those, like, this is where the cupcake games can come back to bite you, because, like, if you're Auburn and you've got a chance to ruin Alabama's season next week, how are you getting up to play New Mexico State? Now, there's no excuse for it, and yes, they did. But they also did beat Arkansas 48-10 the week before that.
Yeah.
So, like, it's like recency bias aside, recently Auburn's actually been playing pretty good until that.
That absolute egg.
Like, and they almost beat all, like, they were right in there with Ole Miss. So it's not like they've been trounced.
Well, and Alabama's not necessarily the team that they've been in the past either. So
no, but they're also playing really good ball right now. So I'm taking Alabama and the points in this one.
I am too. All that being said, I am too.
Yeah. All that aside, I don't think we're going to have a kick 6 touchdown to end this one.
Oh, that'd be so sick, though. Here's the thing. I'm going to be rooting for Auburn in this game. I don't think they're going to.
100,000%. But it's not.
I'm rooting for Auburn. I'm rooting for Texas Tech.
I'm rooting for Florida. Which is what we're going to talk about now. Florida State. Florida State's a 6.5-point favorite.
Dude. I'm going Florida.
I am also.
Florida is a really hit and miss team, right? Like,
and they have to really win this to get to a bowl.
But like, they've played some good teams really close. They played good against Missouri last week. It was a very complete team, kind of out of nowhere, but a very complete team. I'm taking Florida. Without Jordan Travis, I don't know what Florida State has.
I'm taking Florida.
Look at us. Who would have thought?
And yes, of course, some of that is me as a fan hoping the ACC is just not even in the picture, because worst case scenario for the Pac-12 or for Oregon specifically right now is an undefeated ACC champ. That is absolutely horrifying right now. But, Florida State, like, if I'm a betting man right now, are they going to lose to either Florida or Louisville? Yeah, I think they're going to lose one of those two games, if not both. Mm-hmm. And again, hearts out to Jordan Travis. I have so much respect for that guy, and you do not want to see careers end like that.
Yep. Agreed.
All right, that is pretty much it for the big. Obviously, there's a lot of good games, and I'm going to be glued to all of them this weekend. Mm-hmm. But those are the ones that count for right now for our purposes on this show. So that's what we got. Quick thoughts. The Heisman race is obviously heating up. A lot of noise for Bo Nix. Right now, he's the odds-on favorite. What's a little insane to me is the noise for Jaden Daniels, because if you look at his stats, like, yeah, they're great stats against the bad teams that he plays. When he plays a good team, the stats are bad.
Yeah. My thought on that is one of the quarterbacks plays all game. One of the other quarterbacks plays halves. And so when Bo Nix has the same stats as you, largely the same stats as you, and he's only been playing a half of football for the last 3 weeks, 5 weeks, most of the weeks, he's only played a half of football, maybe into the third quarter. No question in my mind.
Yep. Obviously, we got Michael Penix Jr. in there. He's leading an undefeated team through a Pac-12 gauntlet. Yep. And he is doing it well. So, deservingly so. The one in here that makes me scratch my head a little bit is Marvin Harrison Jr. And yeah, his stats are great. I would argue that Troy Franklin is better and Rome Odunze is better.
I would agree with that. Marvin Harrison Jr. is getting by solely based off his reputation. That's why he's in the runnings.
His name and his
I mean, last year he was the best. Like he was unbelievable last year. Right?
No doubt.
He's still great this year. But other teams are also like other receivers are also showing that they're just as great, if not better. So he's just getting by on the reputation that he built last year, and that's
he's
that's
not
all
even in the top 5 in receiving yards.
Yeah. Oh, and like all these awards are so shit, man. Like if you look at the Doak Walker this year, Blake Corum is in the Doak Walker. Bucky Irving is not. Blake Corum is 40th in rushing yards. He is 80th in yards from scrimmage. Anywhere touching that list. Are you kidding me? I don't even like. I wonder how. I haven't checked this yet. I can check it right now. I don't know how low he is on that list of like per carry.
Let's look. Average yards per carry. His backup is 4th. He is not in the top 50.
Exactly, man. Like he's just not. It doesn't make any. Again, he's getting by on his name and his reputation that he built the year previous.
Holy shit! Where is he?
His average
Did I just miss him?
His average is 4.9 yards a carry, which
he's not in the top 100.
Yeah, he gets the ball a lot. That's what it is. Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels has more rushing yards than Blake Corum. 4.9 yards a carry.
Oh my God, that's bad.
Yeah, not great. And he's in the Doak Walker, and Bucky Irving, who is at 1,000 yards at 6.7 yards a carry, isn't even in the top 8.
What a joke!
It's a joke, man. Like, and I mean, really, it needs to go to Taj Brooks. That dude's been insane. Or Ollie Gordon. Ollie Gordon? Are you kidding me? Oklahoma State, 1,400 yards, 6.7 average,
15 touchdowns,
15 tugs. Like this dude's insane.
So Blake Corum's 25th in rush attempts, not in the top 80 in yards or yards per carry.
He's 40 in yards.
Oh, but he's in the top 25 in carries.
Yeah, he's not having a good season.
For reference, Bucky Irving is 54th in carries.
And 25th
in yards. It's like totally flipped.
Yeah, it's dumb.
Some silly nonsense.
Some silly nonsense indeed, my friend.
Ollie Gordon should win that 100,000%.
Yes, he should.
And it shouldn't even be close. Yeah, those awards are kind of like I get the pomp and circumstance around
popularity contest.
Really is a joke. So it's not a joke if Bo Nix wins it, though. It's the best award ever.
Best ever. Hey, look at this. Like again, Marvin Harrison Jr. is 10th in receiving yards. Like, it's not crazy. He doesn't have a ton of catches though, so he's got a good average. He's 35th in. Yeah, it's.
I want to read you this tweet before we sign off for the day. It's funny. This is at Jordan Flowers on Twitter. Why are there no beeves on the timeline for the Civil War week? 1, losing is inevitable. 2, sad about Jonathan Smith to Michigan State. 3, long lines at the food pantry.
Jesus Christ.
Fuck.
It's fucking brutal, dude. Yikes.
He's right, though. Like the Beef fans that have been so loud all season about hating Oregon, and basically they make their whole life about tweeting about Oregon, have been dead fucking silent this week.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And I would be too. I would be terrified. I get why Washington doesn't want the Pac-12 championship to count. I totally get it. Because if I'm looking at what Oregon's doing on the football field right now, I want no fucking part of that.
No part indeed, my friend.
And with that, Eli, it's your turn for a buzzer beater. And even if it's not, I'm giving it to you anyway.
It is indeed my turn for the buzzer beater.
All right. Listener, viewer, thank you for hanging out with us, making us a part of your week. Looking forward to rivalry week. Going to be some insane football this weekend. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Stuff your face. Enjoy your time with your loved ones. Cameron, thank you for all that you do for us.
It's my pleasure.
You are awesome.
Love you, buddy.
Say bye, Cameron.
Bye, Cameron.
Until next week. Oh, thank you to Zeta June for letting us use your music. You guys are awesome. Go vibe out to some Zeta June after this. Until next time, Eli, what is your buzzer beater?
My buzzer beater this week. It's controversial. But that's where I live. I live life on the edge, boys. My buzzer beater this week is, since David Shaw is gone, Stanford by a milli, baby.
Deuces.